In the forgotten village of Umara, red sand covered every road, and hunger was common in every home. Life was tough, dreams rarely survived, and children had to grow up quickly. In a small crumbling house at the edge of the village lived a young woman named Amara. She was 22, but her eyes looked older because of the hardships she faced. Ever since her mother died 5 years earlier, she had lived a hard life. Her father, Jonas, who was once a kind farmer, had become bitter, angry, and often drunk. He married Irene, a woman who treated Amara cruelly and enjoyed seeing her suffer. Amara had to work from sunrise to sunset, cooking, cleaning, fetching firewood, and farming. Sometimes she went to bed hungry. The neighbors felt sorry but were afraid of Jonas's anger. One day, a young man named Zion arrived from the city to work on Jonas's farm. Zion worked hard for 3 months but never received any pay. Frustrated, Zion asked Jonas for his wages. Instead of paying, Jonas offered Amara as payment. Amara begged her father to reconsider, but he didn't listen. Zion reluctantly agreed, hoping he could protect her. Amara left her home quietly, praying that Zion would be kind and different from her father. The journey to the city was long and tiring. Amara sat quietly by the window in the dusty bus, holding her small bag tightly. She watched as the trees, fields, and small towns passed quickly outside. Everything she saw was new and strange because she had never left her village, Umara, before. She felt afraid of this unknown world that seemed loud and busy. Zion was sitting beside her. He didn't talk much during the journey, but Amara noticed he kept watching her gently. He saw how nervous she was, how every loud noise startled her. Amara noticed him too, not his worn clothes or old shoes, but how carefully and quietly he gave her space and respect. When they finally reached the city, everything felt overwhelming to Amara. Tall buildings rose everywhere, cars honked loudly, and people rushed around without stopping. Her heart beat faster, and she gripped her bag even harder. Zion gently guided her away from the noise and busy streets. They took a small tricycle through quieter roads until they reached a house with a big black gate covered in flowers. Zion knocked, and the gate slowly opened. Inside, the compound was calm and beautiful. There was a big white house with shiny windows, surrounded by flowers and even a little fountain. Amara couldn't believe such a peaceful place existed. But Zion didn't stop at the big house. He took her to a smaller building behind it, saying softly, "This is where I live." Amara stepped inside carefully. The rooms were neat and clean. The bed had nice sheets, and there was no smell of alcohol, no dirt, no broken walls. It was small, simple, but it felt safe. Zion explained, "I recently got a job as a security guard here. The woman who owns this house is kind. She gave me this place to stay as long as I look after the compound." Amara looked around again, surprised. "She lets you stay here for free?" Zion nodded and smiled gently. "Yes, as long as I keep it safe." Amara breathed deeply and felt calm. It was simple, but it was peaceful, something she hadn't felt in years. "If this is the new beginning God has planned for me," she whispered, "then I accept it." Zion looked at her, concerned. "Are you all right with this?" Amara smiled slightly, feeling warmth inside. "Yes. I finally feel peaceful. It has been a long time since I felt like this." 2 days later, bright sunlight filled the room in the morning. For the first time in many years, Amara had slept peacefully, without shouting, fear, or pain. She woke up to the smell of something cooking. Quietly, she walked into the kitchen and saw Zion preparing breakfast. He looked at her and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Amara. Did you sleep well?" She nodded shyly. "Yes, like a baby." They both laughed gently, slowly learning to trust and be comfortable around each other. After breakfast, Zion spoke up softly. "Amara, please dress nicely. There is someone I'd like you to meet." "Who?" she asked nervously. "Just dress simply and neatly," he encouraged. Amora put on a clean gown that Zion had bought her, combed her hair, and glanced at the mirror. She hardly recognized herself. Zion led her to the main house, where a tall, elegant woman with gray hair opened the door. The woman had kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Good morning, ma'am," Zion greeted politely. "Good morning, Zion," she replied warmly. She turned to Amora, smiling kindly. "And who is this beautiful young lady?" Zion paused for a moment, then answered clearly, "My wife." Amora was surprised and didn't know how to respond. But the woman, Mrs. Evelyn Walker, smiled even more warmly. "So this is your wife? She's lovely. Welcome, my dear. Come in." Amora entered carefully, amazed at the beautiful house, the clean floors, and the gentle smell of roses. Mrs. Walker took her hand gently and said, "You're very welcome here, Amora. I already like you. This house is big enough for peace. If you ever need anything, please let me know." "Thank you, Ma," Amora replied softly, still nervous. "Call me Mrs. Walker," she said gently. "And don't be afraid." After their talk, Zion and Amora went back to their small home. That evening, while Zion fixed the handle on a cupboard, Amora sat quietly, then finally spoke up. "When my father gave me away, I felt worthless. I thought you would treat me badly, shout at me, or even hurt me." Zion stopped working and listened quietly. "But you didn't," she continued softly. "You respected me. You treated me kindly, cooked for me, and gave me peace." She started crying quietly. "I'm not angry anymore. Maybe this was all part of God's plan." Zion sat down beside her and held her hand gently. "I would never hurt you, Amora. That is not the kind of man I want to be." He paused thoughtfully and added softly, "From the first day I saw you on the farm, I liked you. I wanted to talk to your father about you, but I was scared. I had nothing to offer. But when he offered you instead of my pay, I was shocked and secretly thankful." Amora looked down sadly. "I don't love you yet, Zion." "I know," Zion said quickly, kindly. "I will never rush you." She nodded slowly, feeling comforted. "But I like how you treat me," she said honestly. "You make me feel like I matter, like I'm not a mistake." He smiled softly at her, gently squeezing her hand. "That's because you're not. You're a queen, you've just been living in the wrong palace." That night, for the very first time, Amora didn't just feel safe. She felt valued and truly seen. Life in the city began to feel bright and hopeful for Amora. Every morning was filled with peace. Amora would wake up early, clean their small home, and cook meals that made the place feel warm and welcoming. Her confidence started to grow, like a flower blooming after the rain. She enjoyed cooking and started writing down new recipes in a notebook Zion had given her. Her neat handwriting and creative ideas made cooking her quiet joy. Soon, Mrs. Walker noticed Amora's talent. One afternoon, after Amora helped Mrs. Walker carry groceries inside, the older woman asked her to sit down. "Zion told me you're an excellent cook, and now I've tasted your food myself," Mrs. Walker said kindly. Amora blushed, smiling shyly. "Thank you, Ma." Mrs. Walker looked at her warmly. "My cook traveled abroad with her family, so I need someone trustworthy to take her place. And I believe you are the right person for the job." Amora's eyes widened in surprise. Her voice shook slightly. "Are you serious, Ma?" "Yes, dear. You are hardworking, humble, and kind. This house needs someone like you," Mrs. Walker said gently. Tears filled Amora's eyes. "God bless you, Ma. You don't know how much this means to me." Mrs. Walker smiled even wider. "You deserve it, Amora." Amora hesitated, then quietly said, "I've been saving money, not for clothes or anything, but for school. I want to go to university. I love learning." Mrs. Walker's eyes lit up. She hugged Amora warmly. That's a beautiful dream, and I promise to support you. Excited, Amora rushed back home to Zion. Zion. Zion, she called, breathless. What's wrong? Zion asked, concerned. Mrs. Walker offered me the cooking job. She said she'd pay me every month, and she was excited when I told her about going back to school. Amora said happily. Zion hugged her tightly, laughing. That's wonderful, my beautiful wife. I'm so proud of you. They laughed together, joyful and hopeful for the future. However, soon after, trouble appeared. Damien, Mrs. Walker's son, began paying unwanted attention to Amora. He complimented her looks and made her uncomfortable with his advances. One day, Damien came to the kitchen alone. Amora, I really like you. You're different from other girls, smart and real. I want to change your life, send you abroad for school, give you money, nice clothes, everything. Just say yes. Amora stepped back, nervous but firm. With respect, sir, I'm not interested. I'm married and focused on my dreams and my husband. Damien laughed bitterly. Married. Zion can't give you the life you deserve. I'm proud of Zion, Amora said strongly. He stood by me when no one else did. Keep your money. I'll keep my peace. Damien became angry. You regret this. Amora stood tall, determined. If loving Zion is a mistake, I'll choose it again and again. Later, she told Zion everything. He was upset but proud of her courage. Together, they prayed, standing strong in their love and faith. The next days were filled with tension and silence for Amora. She kept busy with her work, smiling politely and cooking meals perfectly, but inside, she felt worried and unsettled. Damien's words kept replaying in her mind, his promises and his threats. Amora didn't share her feelings with anyone, not even Zion. But deep inside, she felt she couldn't remain silent anymore. One morning, she looked at herself in the mirror, gathered her courage, and decided to speak up. She tied her scarf and walked confidently toward the main house. She knocked gently on the door. Mrs. Walker opened the door, smiling warmly. Good morning, Amora. Did you sleep well? Good morning, Ma, Amora replied softly. I need to speak with you. Mrs. Walker's smile faded slightly, and she invited Amora inside. They sat in the quiet living room. Amora's hands trembled, but she spoke firmly. It's about Damien, she said clearly. Mrs. Walker looked surprised. What about Damien? Amora took a deep breath. He has been bothering me, Ma. Saying uncomfortable things, offering money, and promising a better life if I leave Zion. He even said he would pay Zion off or make him lose his job. Mrs. Walker was quiet for a moment, then gently said, You are beautiful and wise, Amora. Maybe Damien sees your potential. Amora looked directly at Mrs. Walker. With respect, Ma, I'm not that kind of person. Mrs. Walker hesitated. I understand you are married, but think about it. You want a better life, school, comfort, Damien can give you all that. Zion could even benefit. Amora sat up straight, determined. I did not marry Zion for money or comfort. I married him because he respected me when everyone else treated me badly. He gave me dignity. I will never betray him. Mrs. Walker began to speak, but Amora raised her hand gently and firmly. I'm sorry, Ma, but I won't stay here if Damien continues to disrespect me. Amora stood up, bowed politely, and walked out, holding her head high. Back in their small home, she felt angry and hurt. Then, suddenly, she saw bundles of money neatly arranged on a table. Confused, she called out, Zion. Zion stepped out calmly. Sit down, my love. Where did this money come from? Amora asked, shocked. I've been saving it, Zion explained softly. It was for my dream to start a business. But after today, seeing how brave you were, I want you to use this money to go to school. Amora shook her head, emotional. No, Zion. I can't take your dream away from you. Zion gently held her hand. I love you, Amora. You deserve this. She stood up, determined. Let's use this money wisely. We can start a small shop together, and when it grows, I'll go to school. Not just for me, for us. Zion looked at her with admiration. You want to leave this house? Yes, Amora said strongly. I want us to have peace, even if it's small. Zion gently pulled her close. You're everything I prayed for. They shared a quiet, meaningful kiss, a promise of partnership and unity. That night, Amora felt peaceful as they lay together. Our better days are coming, she whispered softly. Zion smiled warmly. Yes, my queen. We'll get there, step by step. The next morning, the sky was clear, but Amora felt uneasy. She hadn't slept well, thinking about everything that happened, the offer from Mrs. Walker, Damian's arrogance, and Zion's money. Saying no had taken strength, but walking away had taken even more. Amora knew she had chosen peace, partnership, and love. Zion had left early for errands, so Amora stayed back, cleaning their home quietly but feeling restless and unsure about their future. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. When Amora opened it, she saw Mrs. Walker and Damian standing there. Good morning, Amora, Mrs. Walker said gently. Amora stepped back quietly, letting them in without speaking. She stood as they sat down. Mrs. Walker spoke softly, We've come to apologize. Damian nodded sincerely. I was wrong, Amora. I saw you as something to win, not someone to respect. Mrs. Walker added kindly, We judged you wrongly and tested your loyalty, but you showed us your strength and dignity. We truly see you as family. Amora felt confused but softened slightly. Mrs. Walker stood up, gently touching Amora's arm. We are proud of you, she said softly. They left quietly, leaving Amora thoughtful and confused. That evening, Zion returned looking relieved yet tired. Amora asked, somewhat jokingly but worried, Where have you been all day? Zion took her hands gently, his expression serious. Amora, I need to tell you something important. What is it? She asked quietly. Zion hesitated, then admitted, Damian isn't just the landlord's son. He's my younger brother. And Mrs. Walker isn't just my employer, she's my mother. Amora stared at him, shocked. Zion quickly explained, I hid my identity because I wanted to find someone who would love me for who I am, not for my money or family name. I've been hurt before, so I became someone else, a nobody, hoping to find true love. Amora sat quietly, processing everything. Finally, she smiled softly. I forgive you, Zion. He looked surprised. Really? Yes, she teased, smiling warmly. But you owe me a car and a mansion for keeping this secret. Zion laughed deeply, relieved. Consider it done, my queen. Amora hugged him tightly. I love you, Zion, even when you annoy me. And I love you, future Dr. Amora, Zion said, smiling warmly. Word spread quickly that Zion, the quiet security guard, was actually a billionaire's son who chose humility to find true love. Amora's father, Jonas, quickly called her, hoping to benefit from her good fortune. Amora, please forgive me, Jonas pleaded. I didn't know God blessed you. Things are tough here. Help us. Amora calmly replied, I forgive you, but I need peace. I suffered too much in your house. Call only if it's truly important, and please take care of your wife. She ended the call, finally breaking free from her painful past. Looking up, she whispered softly, Thank you, God, for bringing Zion into my life. Years passed quickly, bringing many positive changes for Amora. She grew beautifully, like a tree finally getting rain after a long drought. Her days were no longer filled with fear but with purpose. Amora woke up early each day, worked hard at the small food shop she and Zion started, and studied late into the night. The recipes she wrote in her notebook became popular among their customers. People came from across the city to taste Madam Amora's famous jollof rice and the special dish named Zion Special. Their business grew steadily, and they hired 2 assistants. Amora continued studying until one special day when her name was called at a graduation ceremony. She proudly received her white coat, becoming Dr. Amora Zion. Zion cheered loudly from the front row, proud and joyful. After the ceremony, he hugged her tightly, saying, "I'm so proud of you. You made it." She smiled warmly. "No, we made it together." One sunny afternoon, Zion drove Amora through beautiful streets lined with tall, royal palm trees. Curious, she asked, "Where are we going?" He smiled mysteriously without answering. They stopped in front of a beautiful mansion, tall, white, with shining golden gates. Amora was amazed. "What is this place?" Zion handed her a key. "This is your mansion, my queen. I promised you this." She was overwhelmed with happiness, stepping inside to see the beautiful marble floors and soft lights. Peace surrounded them. But there was more news. With tears in her eyes, Amora softly said, "Zion, I went for a test last week. I'm 3 months pregnant." Zion's eyes widened in joy. He shouted with excitement, hugging her tightly. "Amora, are you serious? We are having a baby." "Yes," she laughed happily, wiping her tears. Zion knelt, kissing her belly gently. "Daddy loves you already," he whispered. Amora cried, filled with gratitude for how far she had come, from hardship and rejection to happiness and respect. She smiled, knowing she had truly become everything her name meant, Grace. What have you learned from this story? That love is real, dignity cannot be bought, and peace is priceless. Sometimes, greatness is hidden in humble beginnings. From hardship comes strength, from ashes comes grace.